Hey kids, it's Rick Elkin. Are we having fun yet? Hey, I want to talk a little bit about cheating. Yesterday was tax day, and so I think it's appropriate to discuss what's been in the news a lot lately, but really permeating our society, it seems like, for a couple of decades. And we all pay our homage on tax day to the federal and state governments and their bureaucracies. But I want to say something about the progressive Holly weirdos and multimillionaire media types that have been self-righteously railing against conservatives who wear "Make America Great Again" caps. They say our values are greed and white racism, and they get caught shamelessly gaming the system. You've heard recently about the Lori Loughlin and a couple others that were arrested for essentially bribing people to get their kids into the better colleges. So I have a very little empathy for them. They're forging scholastic achievement records just to get their kids into these schools and get them ahead of the game. And so the question I have is, why do some Americans feel, especially ones who've been, particularly successful in their careers and their high-profile careers, why do they feel that they have to game the system? They may be really good actors and TV producers and, clothing designers and whatever, but for some reason they feel entitled to, first of all, lecture conservatives about moral standards and values, and then turn right around and pull a stunt like what they were just arrested for and charged with. So in my view, this is a symptom of a much larger social disorder. It's called existential nihilism. And it's a symptom of a disorder where these people, most of whom are godless, faithless people, and they cynically ignore authority. They give themselves permission to cheat. And they rationalize this by saying, well, this isn't really hurting anybody. But they are, because they're essentially stealing admissions from probably better qualified and in many cases poorer students who deserve to be there. So they are committing a crime, and they're doing this just to give their kids something that they couldn't otherwise just go buy off the shelf somewhere. And so they're very rich parents demonstrating very poor parenting skills, and I think they should be ashamed of themselves. But they're not alone. We've seen this happening for quite a while now with professional sports, where we went through that period of steroid abuse, performance-enhancing drugs, icons like Lance Armstrong and Mark McGuire. They were selfishly ruining the integrity of the sport and the sports record books. So now when you look up records in baseball and you see Mark McGuire's homer record, there has to be an asterisk next to it. We're seeing this in politics of personal destruction, where politicians feel entitled to shamelessly slander their opponents. And because these people are public figures, they can't sue for slander, and their opponents know this, and they know full well that once a salacious claim has been made public, you can never unring the bell. So ask Brett Kavanaugh about that. Right now we have presidential candidate Elizabeth Warren, who for years has claimed that she is a descendant of the Cherokee Nation. And so I just want to know, I'll ask you, have you ever given any thought to the heritage of your great, 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 great grandmother? So why would you? Unless you wanted to game the system. So another case, pretty high profile, is rapper Jay-Z. recently accused of buying hundreds of thousands of his recently released album so that he could break the record for album sales in its first week. So he's created a record with a fake record. Anyway, the list seems to be endless, and it's kind of a social, what I call, it's become ubiquitous in our modern progressive culture. In the meantime, you have liberal celebrities and media darlings that they have no problem screaming about how unqualified and immoral and ignorant our president is, while they themselves are committing fraud. So imagine if it was just uncovered that Donald Trump had cheated to get his daughter Ivanka into the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. I bet you these same liberals would be calling for Trump's resignation. So anyway, with all this negative publicity, well, you think it'll cause these people to take a second look at their own behavior? I kind of doubt it, because we're living in a shameless generation. So that's it for me. I appreciate you watching. I'll look forward to seeing you next time.